My name is Athena Rodriguez. I'm 29 years old, and I can still feel the weight of my phone in my hand the moment everything I thought I knew about love shattered into 1,000 irreparable pieces. The notification lit up my screen at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday. 3 weeks before our wedding. 3 weeks before I was supposed to walk down the aisle in the ivory dress hanging in my closet, the one I'd saved for 2 years to afford. The message was short, clinical, devastatingly casual. Hey babe, I need to cancel the wedding. Sarah's throwing a reunion party that weekend and I promised I'd be there. We can reschedule for next month, right? No big deal. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. I read it once. Twice. 7 times. Each time, the words rearranged themselves in my head, trying to form a sentence that made sense, trying to become something other than what they were. My fiancé, Michael Chin, the man who'd proposed to me on a beach in Santa Monica with tears in his eyes, had just canceled our wedding via text message to attend his ex-girlfriend's party. The same ex he'd sworn meant nothing to him anymore. The same ex whose name he'd slipped and called me twice in our first year together. The same ex whose Instagram he still watched obsessively, though he thought I didn't notice. My hand started shaking. Not the gentle tremor of surprise, but the violent, uncontrollable shaking of a body rejecting information it can't process. I called him immediately. He answered on the 4th ring, his voice bright, unbothered, like he'd just told me he'd be late for dinner instead of destroying months of planning and a lifetime of dreams. Mike, what are you talking about? Cancel the wedding? I could hear music in the background, laughter, the clinking of glasses. He was at a bar. Yeah, I mean, it's Sarah's big reunion. She specifically asked me to come. It's important to her. My voice came out strangled, foreign. It's important to her? What about what's important to me? To us? He sighed, that particular sigh he reserved for when he thought I was being difficult. Athena, why are you overreacting? It's just a party. We'll do the wedding next month. Same venue, same everything. What's the difference? What's the difference? Those 3 words hung in the air between us like poison gas, slowly filling my lungs until I couldn't breathe. I stood in our apartment in downtown Seattle, rain hammering against the windows, and I realized I was looking at our furniture, our shared space, our combined life, as if seeing it for the first time. The couch we'd picked out together. The bookshelf he'd assembled wrong and refused to fix. The framed photo of us at his sister's wedding where I'm smiling and he's looking at his phone. The difference, I said slowly, my voice dropping to something I didn't recognize, is that you just chose your ex-girlfriend over your future wife. Oh my God, you're being dramatic. It's not like that at all. You're making this into something it's not. I closed my eyes. Somewhere deep in my chest, something that had been holding me together for 29 years quietly snapped. I have to go, I whispered. Athena, come on. Don't be like this. Just be reasonable for once. Reasonable. Be reasonable. As if planning a wedding, inviting 150 guests, booking a venue, ordering flowers, choosing a menu, and dedicating months of my life to celebrating our union was unreasonable. As if expecting my partner to show up was asking too much. I hung up without another word. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on our balcony watching the city lights blur through the rain, and I made a decision. Not the decision he expected. Not the decision anyone would expect. I wasn't going to cry, beg, or plead. I wasn't going to explain why his choice hurt me. Because here's what I'd learned in that single, devastating moment. When someone shows you that your feelings are an inconvenience, explaining those feelings only makes you more inconvenient. Michael had called me dramatic, unreasonable, an overreaction. He'd reduced my pain to a personality flaw. So I decided something radical. I would become exactly what he claimed I wasn't. Calm. Reasonable. Unbothered. I would show him what it looked like when someone truly didn't overreact, when someone genuinely didn't care. The wedding invitations sat in boxes by our door, already addressed, already stamped. 150 people expecting to celebrate our love in 3 weeks. I picked up my phone and started typing. Not to Michael. Not to cancel anything. But to set in motion something he would never see coming. I woke up the next morning with a clarity I'd never experienced before. Michael was still asleep beside me, mouth slightly open, completely unaware that the woman lying next to him had fundamentally changed overnight. I got up quietly, made coffee in our small kitchen, and sat at the table with my laptop. The wedding was still happening. Every single detail would proceed exactly as planned. I spent the next hour sending emails with a steady hand and an eerily calm mind. The venue coordinator received my confirmation. Yes, we're still on for 3 weeks from Saturday. The florist got my approval for the final arrangements. The caterer received my menu selections. The photographer confirmed our timeline. Everything moved forward like a machine I'd set in motion, and I felt nothing. No anxiety, no sadness, no anger. Just a cold, mechanical efficiency that made me feel powerful in a way I'd never felt before. When Michael finally stumbled into the kitchen around 10, rubbing his eyes and reaching for the coffee pot, he seemed surprised to see me so composed. "Hey," he said carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. You okay? I looked up from my laptop and smiled. It wasn't forced. It was easy. I'm great. Just confirming some wedding details. His face flooded with relief. Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to be weird about the Sarah thing all week. I tilted my head slightly. Weird about what? He laughed nervously. You know, last night. The party. I'm glad you're being cool about it. I nodded slowly. Of course. Why wouldn't I be? It's just a party, right? His shoulders dropped, tension evaporating. Exactly. See, I knew you'd understand once you calmed down. Calmed down. As if my devastation had been hysteria that needed to be managed. I took a sip of my coffee and said nothing. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a ghost of efficiency. I confirmed every wedding vendor, finalized every detail, responded to every RSVP with gracious thank you notes. At work, my colleagues at the marketing firm noticed the change. I'd always been the one who brought homemade cookies to meetings, who remembered everyone's birthdays, who organized happy hours. Now I arrived exactly at 9, left exactly at 5, and kept my interactions professional and brief. My boss, Patricia, even pulled me aside. Athena, you've been crushing your metrics lately. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. What I was doing was removing every soft edge from my personality, filing myself down into something smooth and impenetrable. Michael noticed too, but he interpreted it as improvement. You seem really focused lately, he said one evening while I was working on my laptop at the kitchen table. It's nice. You're not as scattered as you used to be. Scattered. Another word added to the collection. Dramatic, unreasonable, scattered. I was apparently a mess before, and now I was fixed. Thank you, I said without looking up. He came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my shoulders. I'm really glad we worked through that thing with Sarah's party. I knew you'd be mature about it. Mature. I let him hold me, feeling absolutely nothing. His touch used to make my heart race. Now it was just pressure, temperature, weight. When's the party again? I asked casually. Next Saturday. The day we were supposed to get married. He tensed slightly. I mean, the day we had originally planned before we rescheduled. I nodded. Right. What time? He pulled back, suspicious. Why? I turned to face him, my expression perfectly neutral. Just curious. I want to make sure I know your schedule. He relaxed again. It starts at 7. I'll probably be back by midnight. I smiled. That sounds nice. I hope you have fun. The confusion on his face was delicious. He'd expected resistance, anger, tears. Instead, he got acceptance so complete it made him uncomfortable. You're really okay with this? He asked. Why wouldn't I be? You said it yourself, I was overreacting. He searched my face for sarcasm, for hidden rage, for anything. But I'd learned something powerful in those 2 weeks. When you show no emotion, people can't hurt you. They can't use your feelings against you. They can't call you dramatic or unreasonable or scattered. You become untouchable. Okay, he said slowly. Cool. That night, I lay awake listening to him snore, and I thought about the 150 people who'd RSVP'd yes to our wedding. The venue that was still booked. The photographer who'd confirmed. The caterer who'd prepared for our exact head count. Michael thought he'd cancelled our wedding. But he'd only cancelled his invitation to it. The ceremony was still happening on the original date, at the original time, in the original place. He just wouldn't be there. And when he asked me later why I'd overreacted, I'd have an answer he'd never forget. The week before what was supposed to be our wedding day, Michael's mother called me. Her voice was warm, excited, completely unaware of the chaos her son had created. Athena, darling, I just wanted to confirm our flight details. We're landing Friday afternoon. Should we come straight to the rehearsal dinner or check into the hotel first? I felt my pulse slow, my breathing become measured. This was the moment. The rehearsal dinner is at 6, I said smoothly. I'll text you the restaurant address. Can't wait to see you, Margaret. She laughed, delighted. We're so excited. My baby boy is finally getting married. You're the best thing that ever happened to him, you know that? I smiled into the phone. That's very sweet of you to say. After we hung up, I sat very still. Michael's parents were flying in from Boston. My parents were driving up from Portland. His 3 groomsmen had requested time off work. My 4 bridesmaids had their dresses altered and ready. The wedding was a living, breathing thing that existed independently of Michael's awareness, and he had no idea. That evening, Michael came home with takeout from our favorite Thai place. He was in a good mood, humming some song I didn't recognize. Sarah texted me today, he said, unpacking the containers. She's really excited about Saturday. Said it wouldn't be the same without me. I looked up from my phone. That's nice. She must really value your friendship. He blinked, surprised by my calm response. Yeah. I mean, we dated for 3 years. It's important to stay on good terms with exes, you know? I nodded slowly. Absolutely. Maturity is so important. He seemed relieved again, that same expression he'd worn for 2 weeks now. Relief that I wasn't being difficult, that I'd become easier to manage, simpler to love. You want to watch something? He asked, settling onto the couch with his pad thai. Actually, I have some errands to run, I said, standing up. Wedding stuff. He waved dismissively. Oh right, the rescheduled one. When did we land on a new date, by the way? I grabbed my purse, keys jingling. We didn't. I'll handle it. I left before he could ask more questions. I drove to the venue, a beautiful garden estate on the outskirts of Seattle with views of Mount Rainier on clear days. The coordinator, Linda, met me at the entrance with her clipboard and her efficient smile. Athena, everything is ready for Saturday. The arch will be decorated Friday evening, chairs are being delivered Thursday, and the catering team will arrive at noon on the day. I walked through the space with her, imagining it. The white chairs in perfect rows. The flowers cascading down the ceremony arch. The string quartet playing as guests arrived. Everything exactly as I'd planned, except the groom would be 40 miles away at his ex-girlfriend's reunion party. There's been a small change, I said carefully. Linda looked up, concerned. Oh no, what kind of change? I smiled. The groom won't be attending. Her pen froze mid-note. I'm sorry, what? Michael won't be here Saturday. But the wedding is still happening. Everyone else will be here. The ceremony will proceed. I'll walk down the aisle, my father will give me away, and we'll have a reception. Just without the groom. Linda stared at me like I'd grown a second head. I don't understand. Is this a joke? I met her eyes steadily. No joke. He chose to attend another event. But I've paid for this venue, I've invited 150 people, and I'm not letting his absence ruin what I've worked so hard to create. Can you accommodate that? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Legally, yes. Logistically, yes. But Athena, are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. That night, I drafted a message to send to all our wedding guests. I scheduled it to go out Saturday morning, 6 hours before the ceremony. The message was simple, clear, and devastatingly honest. Dear friends and family, today was supposed to be my wedding day. Michael canceled our ceremony to attend his ex-girlfriend's party. He asked me why I was overreacting. So instead of canceling everything, I'm inviting you to celebrate something different, my freedom. The venue is booked, the food is paid for, the music is ready. Please join me not for a wedding, but for a new beginning. Dress code, whatever makes you feel powerful. I'll be wearing white. I saved the draft and felt something I hadn't felt in 3 weeks. Not happiness exactly, but something close. Anticipation. When I got home, Michael was asleep on the couch, TV still playing. I looked at him for a long moment, this man I'd loved enough to promise forever to. He looked peaceful, untroubled, completely unaware that in 3 days his entire world would shift. I went to our bedroom, pulled out the ivory dress from the closet, and tried it on one more time. It fit perfectly. In the mirror, I looked like a bride, but I felt like something else entirely. Someone who'd learned that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And I was getting very good at indifference. Saturday was coming, and Michael had no idea he'd created a monster of his own making. One who would show him exactly what overreacting actually looked like. Saturday morning arrived with unusual sunshine for Seattle. I woke up at 6, the apartment still quiet, Michael's arm draped across my waist like it belonged there. For a moment, I almost felt something. Almost remembered the girl who would have melted into that touch, who would have turned to kiss him awake, who would have believed this meant safety. Then I remembered his text message. His dismissal. His choice. The feeling evaporated like steam. I slipped out of bed carefully and went to the bathroom. My hair appointment was at 8. Makeup at 10. The photographer would meet me at the venue at noon. Everything was moving forward exactly as planned, a train on tracks that couldn't be stopped now even if I wanted to. Michael stirred when I came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel. He checked his phone and stretched. Sarah's party starts at 7. I should probably head out around 5 to miss traffic. I nodded, applying moisturizer with steady hands. Sounds good. He sat up, watching me. You're being really cool about this. I appreciate it. I met his eyes in the mirror. I learned from the best. He smiled, completely missing the edge in my voice. What are you doing today anyway? Just some personal stuff. Maybe see some friends. He got up, kissed my cheek. The gesture felt performative, obligatory. Okay. I'll probably crash at Mason's place after the party. Sarah's apartment is near there and I'll probably drink. Don't wait up. I won't, I promised. And I meant it in ways he couldn't begin to understand. At 8:30, my scheduled message went out to all 150 wedding guests. My phone immediately started exploding with notifications. Calls, texts, messages of shock and support and outrage. I silenced it all. My bridesmaids, Rebecca, Jennifer, Kayla, and my sister Monica, showed up at my hair appointment like an army. Rebecca got there first, her eyes blazing. I got your message. Athena, oh my God. Are you serious? He's really not coming? I smiled at her in the salon mirror. He chose Sarah's party. Jennifer came in right behind her, still in her gym clothes. I will kill him. I'm not joking. I will actually commit murder. No need, I said calmly. He's already dead to me. Monica, my younger sister, arrived with coffee and fury. Mom and Dad are losing their minds. They want to know if we should cancel, if you're okay, if they should talk to Michael. Tell them to come to the venue as planned. Everything is happening exactly as scheduled. Kayla, always the practical one, sat down beside me. So we're really doing this? A wedding without a groom? Not a wedding, I corrected. A celebration. The hairstylist worked in silence for a moment, clearly eavesdropping, clearly fascinated. When she finished the first section of curls, she finally spoke. For what it's worth, I think you're the bravest person I've ever met. I looked at my reflection. Hair half done, face bare, eyes clear. Not brave. Just tired of shrinking. By 11, my phone had 63 missed calls. 17 from Michael's mother. 21 from my mother. 14 from Michael's friends. 11 from Michael himself, who'd apparently just woken up and checked his phone to discover the message had gone out. I didn't answer any of them. At noon, I arrived at the venue in my bridesmaid Rebecca's car. The garden looked exactly as I'd imagined. White chairs in perfect rows. Flowers everywhere, cascading in whites and soft pinks. The arch stood at the end of the aisle, decorated with roses and trailing ivy. It was beautiful. Heartbreaking. Perfect. Linda, the coordinator, approached me carefully. Athena. I have to tell you, this is the most insane thing I've ever been part of. But also maybe the most honest. I smiled. How many guests have confirmed they're coming? She checked her tablet. As of 20 minutes ago, 142 out of 150. You're losing 8 people, probably Michael's relatives who think this is inappropriate. Everyone else is showing up. My chest felt tight. Not with sadness, but with something bigger. Vindication maybe. Or just the recognition that I wasn't alone in this. That's more than I expected, I whispered. Linda squeezed my shoulder. People love a good villain origin story. And honey, you're about to become legendary. At 1:15, my phone rang again. Michael. This time, I answered. His voice came through panicked, breathless. Athena, what the hell is going on? I'm getting all these messages. People are asking me about the wedding. I told you we rescheduled. I looked out at the garden, at the chairs filling with guests, at my bridesmaids in their dusty rose dresses. No, Michael. You told me you canceled it. I never agreed. What are you talking about? Where are you right now? I smiled. I'm at our wedding venue. Where 142 people are gathering to watch me walk down an aisle you chose not to stand at the end of. You asked me why I was overreacting. I'm about to show you what an actual reaction looks like. Then I hung up and turned off my phone completely. The ceremony started at 3 o'clock exactly. I stood at the back of the garden, my father beside me, his hand trembling slightly as he held my arm. He'd been silent all day, just watching me with this mixture of pride and heartbreak that made my chest ache. You sure about this, sweetheart? He asked one final time. I looked down the aisle. Every chair was filled. Faces I'd known my whole life, friends who'd driven hours, family who'd flown across the country. All of them here, not for a wedding, but for me. I've never been more sure of anything, I whispered. The string quartet began playing Canon in D. My father and I started walking. With each step, I felt lighter. Not happier exactly, but freer. Like I was shedding skin I'd been trapped inside. When we reached the arch, there was no groom waiting. Just empty space and possibility. The officiant, a woman named Claire who I'd hired months ago, stood there with tears in her eyes. She cleared her throat and spoke to the crowd. "We're gathered here today not to witness a marriage, but to witness a woman choosing herself." Athena asked me to say this. For too long, I made myself smaller to fit someone else's vision of who I should be. Today, I'm taking up all the space I deserve. The crowd erupted. Not in polite applause, but in standing ovation. Cheering, crying, shouting. My mother was sobbing in the front row. My sister was filming everything on her phone. My father squeezed my hand and whispered, "That's my girl." I turned to face everyone, still in my white dress, and I smiled. Really smiled. For the first time in weeks. "Thank you all for coming. The reception is ready. Let's celebrate new beginnings." As everyone moved toward the reception tent, my phone buzzed in Rebecca's purse. She handed it to me with raised eyebrows. It was Michael. 37 missed calls. One final text, "I'm so sorry. I'm on my way. Please wait for me." I read it once, then deleted it. I didn't need his apology. I didn't need his presence. I didn't need anything from him anymore. That evening, I danced with my father, laughed with my friends, and ate the wedding cake I'd chosen months ago. As the sun set over Mount Rainier, painting everything gold, I realized something crucial. Michael had asked why I was overreacting. The truth was, I'd been underreacting my entire relationship. Accepting less, demanding nothing, shrinking myself into something manageable. Today wasn't an overreaction. It was the exact right amount of reaction. It was me, finally taking up space. 6 months later, I'd hear through mutual friends that Michael and Sarah had tried dating again and it fell apart within weeks. That he'd spent months trying to contact me, sending flowers, letters, apologies. I never responded. Not out of cruelty, but because I genuinely had nothing left to say to him. Some people spend their whole lives looking for closure. I found mine the moment I walked down that aisle alone and realized I was enough. All by myself. In my white dress. Taking up all the space I'd always deserved. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.